It is the 4th of July, 2020. Welcome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here for however long you decide to stay. Today is Independence Day here in the United States, and I plan to spend this day, which is day 112, in my isolation, lockdown, lockout, lock-in, quarantine, protection of other people and myself from the pandemic which is sweeping the world. The United States in particular. Today I'm going to spend in some kind of repose or meditation or thoughts and probably some writing about what the country means to me, what the idea of liberty, what the idea of freedom actually means in my life anymore. Not only because of recent events, but for everything that I've grown up in. Next week I turn 55 years old. 55 years old. I don't I don't feel that number, if that makes any sense. When I was a younger person, when I was a boy, 55 seemed way, way far away, but the years move really, really quickly, and I find myself here. I started receiving via email and via mail. I have started receiving all kinds of senior citizen benefits, coupons for Denny's, for their senior citizen menu, and lots of life insurance things, and lots of all things that seem happy on the outside but have negative connotations on the inside. And as someone who has studied Stoicism, one of the credos, one of the things from there is never forget that you're going to die. So I'm being reminded I'm going to die. And that's okay, because I'm living today, and I'm going to make the most out of that, right? Yeah. Facebook handed me some interesting memories this morning as I was scrolling through. 6 years ago, in 2014, I was in St. Louis with my wife, Dawn. She had traveled along with me. The two of us drove from Charlotte, North Carolina, to St. Louis. We traded off driving. She drove some, I drove some. And we looked at landscapes, and we stopped in small towns, and we had lunch at one day we were driving. We had lunch at the Hard Rock Cafe in Nashville, and saw a lot of the Johnny Cash memorabilia, and had long discussions about Johnny Cash and about music and about love and children and how the children had all grown up, and we were now taking on a whole different set, a whole different life, and that became even more true in the following year, and what transpired there. This year, I'm living alone in Hollywood, California, having followed my path across the country, all the way across the country this time, to the foot of the Magic Castle, which is currently closed, and I am waiting for my audience to come back. 112 days since the last time I had an audience across a table from me. Anyway, 6 years ago today, I was in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was competing in the North American FISM competition. Now, for those of you who aren't magicians and don't know about such things, FISM is the grand prize. It is the biggest contest one can enter if one practices the art of magic. It is the be-all and end-all. And of course, they choose from different countries the different people that will compete in the big competition, which generally happens, a year after the regional things do. But I was there competing for the North American slot to be one of the representatives to travel to Rimini, Italy, to compete in the World Championships. And I performed I had 8 minutes, by the way. The entire contest was timed to 8 minutes, and I competed with my piece called Memories, Silver Memories, followed by Golden Memories, which is the ice cream pop. thing. I'll put a link at the end to that video. There's several videos of me performing that up on the YouTube. And it is the last competition I will ever take part in. Part of the reason being that I no longer believe, mostly because of this competition, that that art should be entered in competitions. There's a whole long story with that, and maybe I'll share that with you sometime. But right now, it is that just my belief that my art specifically doesn't belong in competitions. The very short version of that particular competition is that I passed the finals, and I was competing against 4 or 5 other magicians the following day to secure a possible win for the International Brotherhood of Magicians in close-up magic, a possible win with the Society of American Magicians close-up magic, and North American FISM in close-up magic. And I had told myself, and I had put it through my own head and talked it out and rehearsed it out, in that I'm not going to go out there and try to do big dazzling things. I want to give them sincere, organic, from the heart, pure magic, the way that I would present it for an audience that wasn't a competition. If there were people across from me, this is what I would do for them, rather than, for want of a better term, making it more Vegas, making it more shiny, adding glitter, or whatever. So I put on my armor, I put on my waistcoat and my tie, and the buttons and the nail polish, and trimmed my beard the way I wanted it to be, and I put on my derby, and I went out and I created magic, and I got a standing ovation. I got from my peers, from the people that came to see competition, from the people that just came because they love magic. And I got a standing ovation at the end of my performance, which, in retrospect, was better than getting a medal. One of the organizations that was throwing the competition, that was holding the competition, allows for the contestants to meet the judges. And so I took them up on that opportunity, and I was waiting in the hallway with a bunch of the other performers, a bunch of the other competitors. And as they came out from meeting with the judges, a large number of them were kind of galvanized and kind of shaking. And, oh boy, I didn't realize I had done that. I didn't realize that this was it. And they were very, very, because it's a competition on a national scale, for the opportunity to compete in an international scale and represent your country, right? Or I guess the continent of North America, the entirety of North America. So of course they were harsh, and they were very, very, they had high expectations of what things should be. And to myself, I thought, well, this is good, this is great. I'll go in, I'll get some good pointers, and I'll be able to know, whether I win or lose. At least I will have some insight as to the way that my peer group and people that are experts in this field, or the giants of my industry, will look at what I do and have some insight on what they think of my art. And I went in the room, and there were names there that I admire, some that I'd never heard of, but you don't judge a national competition or a continental thing without being someone, and so I went in to hear what I had to hear, and I was ready to take notes, and I was ready to ask questions and all kinds of things. And the person who was running the show said this, and I'll never forget this. This is in my brain. He said, you walked out on stage, and you started to talk, and about 30 seconds into your talk, I put my notes down. I put my clipboard down. I put my judging sheet down, because I didn't want to be judging your show. I wanted to be watching your show. The words that you said, the words that you put forward, the magic that you created was so gripping that I had to watch it and not judge it. And so I have no notes for you. I have no critique for you. You have a beautiful act, and I wouldn't change a thing, except as your heart tells you that things need to change. And all around the room, it was the exact same way. Everyone there, everyone who was judging, the 8 or 9 individuals that were there to judge these competitions, all said, loved what you did. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. We have no notes. We have no negative thoughts. Thank you. And I went out and I went to dinner with my wife, and she asked me, well, what did they say? And I said, well, they told me they loved the work. They loved what I'd put into it. They loved the magic that I created, and they had no notes and no negative input. So with that, I assumed that I at least had won something. At least, in my head, I'm going, wow, if you have no critique and you love the act and there's nothing you would change, well, to me that says you have won. You have taken the prize. So after dinner, we went to the awards ceremony, and of the 3 major groups that were there, IBM, SAM, FISM, my name was not read. Let me caveat that. I was not given an award from FISM. I was given a spot. I was given a spot to compete in the international competition in Rimini the following year. But I was awarded no medals. I was awarded no trophies. I was not in the top 3 all the way down the line. And I was curious about that. So I went and I found a friend. I had a friend, Eric Jones, who was on the board at the SAM for the judging committee. And I found him and I asked him, okay, so the act was great and everybody loved it and they had no notes. Why did I not even place? Why did I not get anything, any kind of recognition? And Eric quite simply said to me, there weren't enough magic moments in your act. In the 8 minutes you had to perform, you did 6, I believe there are 6 magic effects in that storyline, in that presentation, in that moment. 6 magical things happened. Loved the act, loved the structure of it, loved the storyline and how everything went, and was left feeling magical. And I got the standing ovation from the audience, and I got the flawless review from the judges. But because there weren't enough beats per minute in the magic that I performed, I didn't win. I didn't place. I didn't get a trophy. The person that did win, in 8 minutes, crammed in somewhere between 30 and 40 magic moments. A thing appears in his hand, a thing appears in his hand, a thing disappears from his hand, things like that. And that was the last time I competed. Not out of any kind of spite or anger, and although I will admit there was some of that at the beginning, but in the years that have passed since then, not only have I decided that I don't want my art up in a competition, but that I shouldn't allow other people's rules to affect the story that I want to tell. As an artist, as a storyteller, I want the freedom to do one magic effect and bring magic to people. That's my job, right? I'm a magician. I'm bringing magic to you, and whether it is one effect or several dozen magical things happening, does the impact of the magic that actually happens in a person's heart and a spectator's soul lessen because there are fewer magical effects, or lessen because there are more? Or does it really matter? Isn't the presentation of the idea, of the heart of the matter? And my answer to myself was, well, to me it does. And so from this point forward, I will not allow that to be in the hands of judges. My art is created from my own heart, head, and talent, and it is accepted or rejected by the audience that I put it in front of. And between us and that dance, there is no filter. Later on in that evening, as I was contemplating how things had gone wrong, and I'm putting quotes around the word wrong, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was a gentleman standing. And let me tell you this. Let me interrupt my own story to give you a little backstory. When I first began this journey, this quest, this path of performance magic and performance conjuring, the very first book I bought was The Experience of Magic by Eugene Berger. Eugene Berger was an incredible teacher. He was a guru. He was a mentor to more people than he ever met. And he wrote a book. One of his books was The Experience of Magic. And I devoured that book as an amateur magician, as a longtime actor and a longtime performer, but as an amateur magician. The words on the pages that he wrote spoke to me in a very, very, very moving kind of a way. And it basically charted the path that I was going to take from that point forward. Now, years in the past, 27 years ago? I think that's right. So when I turned around in this banquet hall in St. Louis, Missouri, having ridden the entire day on the high of performance and the absolute high of important people in my craft telling me they loved my performance, to the crushing blow of not quite good enough, I turned around, and there was Eugene Berger, who I'd never met really face to face. And he's standing there, and he's smiling, and he's a little bit giddy, and he said, "I've been looking for you, and I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your performance and how delightful I thought it was. Will you give me your phone number? I'd like to talk to you further about the art that you've created." How about that? I traveled all the way, halfway across the country at that point. I gave my best. I failed at the quest that I was seeking, but I met the man who helped to shape my journey, and he was delighted with the outcome at that point. So of course I gave him my phone number, and we corresponded a little bit, and not long after that he passed away. Not long, a year or two. And all that happened on July the 4th, 2014, 6 years ago today. And in my own retrospect, it set me free in a certain direction, because it helped me to shape the fact that I'm going to make the art. I'm going to put my heart out into the lights. I'm going to put it out on the page. I'm going to put it forth across the table, and let it be. Let it be exactly what it is. I'm going to try to communicate with you more. I'm going to try to communicate with you more. I cannot perform for you in the isolation that I'm in. I cannot give you the experience that my heart demands that I put forth, but I can give you my words, and I can give you my stories, and I can send you love. So, today I'm going to contemplate freedom and liberty. I'm going to watch movies that I enjoy. I'm going to read some books that I enjoy. I plan to talk to some loved ones briefly and let them know that I'm thinking of them. If you are within the sound of my voice, or you see this video, know that I value you as a person, as a friend, as a fan, however you see yourself in my world, in my little Hannibal world. And I will remain across the table as long as I can. And I won't put my art up for competition again, but I will put it out for enjoyment and for thought and for love. So be it. I hope there's love where you are, and I'll talk to you soon.